Let's bring in former House Majority Leader and former Texas Congressman Tom DeLay. Congressman, good to see you this morning. What's your reaction to this kind of game? You want to call it a game of semantics, if you will, but there's a clear divide between what even many Republicans are saying in Congress and what you're hearing from President-elect Donald Trump.
Well, my first question, well, good morning, Dagan. My first question to the Obama administration is, what have they done about cyber hacking over the past few years? Little or nothing that we know of. All of a sudden, they look at this and want to play to the politics with their base, and the president put some, I think, some pretty weak sanctions on the Russians, and yet there's still question and doubt whether the Russians did it or not. It doesn't matter. They didn't influence the election. The point is that we have a rogue president out there doing things in the last few days and last few weeks before he leaves office. There's just outrage and undermines the American people.
But you do have Republicans in the Senate. The vast majority of them believe that Russia and very senior people in the Russian government, based on the intelligence that they've seen, was behind the hack into the DNC. And you have Senator John McCain, Blake Berman was talking about that, Senator Lindsey Graham as well, think that these sanctions need to go even further. Graham wanted to wait on sanctions until the new Congress and the president-elect is in office. But you don't hear that similar talk from Donald Trump, at least not yet. And he's saying that he knows something about this hacking that he's going to reveal in the next couple of days.
Well, I think he's taking the right approach. He's finding out the truth. Remember that the heads of these intelligence organizations are all political appointees of President Obama. So they're going to go along with the political effort that Obama is doing. I applaud the president-elect for taking his time, really looking at and questioning what this is all about. The president took an action, and we still have doubts as to whether the facts are known and who is the real culprit. And frankly, whatever the president did, Putin's just making a joke out of it and embarrassing our president and our country.
I want to get Morgan Ortagus in here because the heads of some of these agencies are political appointees, but when you're talking about people actually doing the hardcore intelligence work, those are not, they work there a long time, but they're not political appointees. And these are people who are charged with helping protect the homeland and protect the United States. And so when you get this divide between the intelligence community and the new president coming in, it can become problematic.
Well, absolutely. And it yes, doesn't have to be, Dagan, it doesn't have to be you're either, a Russian apologist or, you're tough on Russia. The Trump administration can look at a new relationship coming in with Russia while still acknowledging that they are not promoters of freedom and democracy by any means. Well, also, we have to remember, this is the economy that's about the size of Spain. And Putin is trying to punch above his weight and play internationally in the way the Soviet Union used to play. So I think clearly there's no argument that President Trump, Trump, would have won the election because he had a message that resonated with the voters clearly, and because Hillary forgot to go to. So you could say, you could say that Russia is a bad actor, we should consider sanctioning them, while still fully believing that Donald Trump was going to win the presidency no matter what. I don't think it has to be a mutually exclusive point.
And I'll get the congressman in here, but I want to make the point that a lot of the reason that some conservatives and Republicans want tough action against Russia is because you have had an administration for 8 years that has completely kowtowed to Russia at every turn. You pointed out Crimea, Ukraine, Syria. We've done nothing. And we're flat on our back. And now Russia is hacking the United States, even though it's politically motivated. Yeah. Clearly, the sanctions, given the timing of them, something's got to be done.
It's blatantly political, and it's strategically silly that after 8 years of doing nothing,
Right.
the only thing that gets President Obama's reaction is this perceived hacking of the DNC that then requires punitive action.
Yeah, what about what China did with OPM, Office of Personnel and Management?
Correct.
My
Millions
records in
of
that.
sensitive records are now in the Chinese
And
hands.
he knew this, by the way, back in the fall. I don't believe he got anything really new. Here's the bigger problem. You touched on it a little bit, Morgan, which is the way the Democrats and the media have framed this conversation has put the Trump administration on the defensive. They're framing this as a hack that changed and altered the outcome of this election, which we mostly agree it did not.
No,
I do
Vice
think
President Joe Biden went on to television and said that I don't think that it's going to have any impact on the election. He said that in October.
Right.
That's why the timing of this is so questionable, because President Obama looks at Vladimir Putin and says, cut it out. They knew it was going on, and they dismissed it because they didn't think that they would lose, and now they're upset about it. Congressman?
Well, the only people that believe that the hacking had an impact on the election are the losers. And the losers are trying to justify them losing. That's not the point here. The point here is, yes, hacking and cyber threats are real. And we have to deal with them. The Obama administration has done a lousy job in dealing with them. And hopefully the Trump administration will understand it, be tough and strong. He's coming from a position of peace, truth, strength, and will deal with them. This other side stuff, this political stuff that's going on, is just covering up what is really going on and the real threat to America.
And we wait to see what, if anything, Trump comes out with on this issue in the next couple of days. But to that point...
And McCain and Graham are just playing along with it. I just can't believe it.
You mean playing along with the White House?
Yeah.
Well, they want, but they didn't want. But Senator Graham didn't want these sanctions. He said we need to wait until the new Congress is in session and the new president has been inaugurated. But we need to get tough. But we should wait. That's what Lindsey Graham said last week.
Well, I heard him say some other things too. Get tough with Russia, but this issue and dealing with this particular issue, it's just distracting from the real issue of cyber threats. And that's what the Armed Services Committee in the Senate and McCain ought to be looking at and developing a strategy to deal with those threats. Well,
Congressman, really quickly on that note, does Rex Tillerson have a tough time getting confirmed, or does he sail through for Secretary of State?
No, I think he sails through. The Democrats will try to embarrass him, as they always will, and they'll look foolish. And he's a strong individual. He's probably the most qualified person to be Secretary of State, and he'll catch it from the Democrats, but he'll eventually sail through.
Congressman, good to see you this morning. Happy New Year, Congressman Tom DeLay.
Thank you.